Plastic surgery. Have you ever spoken about plastic surgery in English? In this video lesson, I've invited Leila and Sabrah from Love English, Learn English with Leila and Sabrah to talk to us a little bit about plastic surgery. In this video lesson, you will listen to a natural conversation between Leila, Sabrah and myself talking about plastic surgery. In the natural conversation between Leila, Sabrah and me, you will hear both the British and Australian accent. You will practice listening to different accents. You will hear us talking about plastic surgery. You will hear new words, phrases and expressions you can use when speaking about plastic surgery in English. Make sure to watch the whole video lesson, as at the end I will teach you 4 important grammar points which came up throughout our natural conversation. Friends, before we begin this video lesson, I would love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments below this video, is plastic surgery common in your country? So do a lot of people get plastic surgery done? Is it common to see people with plastic surgery in your country? Remember friends, by commenting your answers below, you are practicing your writing skills and you are using the new phrases and expressions you are learning throughout this lesson. Friends, this video lesson is brought to you thanks to Using English TP members. Have you not heard about Using English TP? Using English TP is a virtual classroom and community teaching English learners from around the world real English. Every Monday, Using English TP members receive a new lesson set focusing on an interesting topic. This video lesson is only one part of the lesson material sent to Using English TP members. Okay, back on topic, and let's hear from Leila and Sabrah, and let's learn about plastic surgery together.
Surgery. What is plastic surgery?
When you end up looking like this.
Like what?
Well, lots of people, when they get plastic surgery, start looking very pinned. So their faces are being pulled back if they get a facelift, and they start to look like that.
Have no expressions anymore.
Also, I have to be honest, my auntie got a facelift, and actually, she looks a lot better for it.
Oh,
Okay, but
please.
wait, is it common in the UK for people to get a facelift, or?
I think it's become
quite common.
very common in Western countries, but also in the Middle East. I know a lot of Middle Eastern, in Iran, for example, I'm half Iranian, everybody gets a nose job. It's like the biggest operation over there.
I would like to have a nose job. I actually would.
She's fine.
It's very good. It's very interesting because people in the UK, I think, used to be very anti-plastic surgery, used to be very worried about it and were very concerned about it becoming part of the culture. But I actually think in recent years, it has become a big part of the culture, and I think that it's becoming more and more accepted.
I think because it's celebrity culture, I think a lot of people do follow that, and I think the expectations of what they want to look like have increased, and they're not very realistic either. And it's just vanity, really.
Do you think so, Leila?
I do. I think it's vanity.
But really, but if someone's getting a nose job, maybe always vanity, or maybe for health purposes, maybe.
Okay, they could be.
But also, I think if somebody has a feature, like something wrong with their face, in their opinion, that is causing them a lot of unhappiness, so a really big nose or a very prominent jaw, why shouldn't they get it changed? If it's going to make them happier, if it's going to improve their quality of life, in my opinion, why not? I
think it can become addictive though, and you're right, someone might feel that they have a very big nose or a very big chin, but actually it can also be psychological. And I think there's a fine line. I think I'm not against it per se, but I think that there's a fine line between having something done and then done, I'm happy, and then the addiction of wanting more and still not being satisfied and finding things wrong with yourself. And I think that's a lot more deep rooted than
perhaps
than just
I mean, I have known actually somebody who did get a nose job, and she had a very prominent nose, and it really made her unhappy about her appearance. And once she got the nose job, she was a lot happier and she got a lot more comfortable. I think in those cases, why not? But yeah, if, as Leila was saying, if it becomes something that then you think, oh, but now I want bigger boobs, and that can happen, I think that is a worrying thing.
And you find fault with yourself. And I think there is a habit in our society to put too much value on how you look.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And I think that's quite worrying. And especially when it comes to women, I think we're under a lot more pressure There might be lots of men that disagree with that, but generally speaking, women have always come under a bit more scrutiny than.
Yeah, although I think men are increasingly, interested in procedures and improving themselves, actually, which shows a real change in society.
Yeah, I think it does.
But what about for work purposes? I read an article recently, I think it was in China or in Asia, that people were getting plastic surgery done to improve their chances of employment. Do you think that maybe if someone has maybe an unusual nose or something, there's no nice way of putting it, but maybe a feature on their face or some part of their body that could prevent them from being employed? Or
well, I think that's really bad, to be honest.
Discrimination,
because
really,
I think you should be judged on how good you are at the job and not how you look.
You should, but
it depends what line of work you're in, though. I mean, if you're a singer or an actor or something in the entertainment industry, then perhaps there might be, called to look a certain way. But I mean, I would still think that if you're a fantastic singer, it shouldn't really matter what you look like.
But then there's the extremities of Barbie and Ken. Barbie, have you seen pictures of them?
Of the psychological problem I'm talking about. I think that somebody that has to change their appearance so they don't even look like the person they are, or they're trying to emulate a celebrity.
Yeah, I think that's terrible. Yeah, I've seen the story about the Ukrainian Barbie. That is really scary. And I think there's something, when we go to that extreme, all natural beauty is lost. And I think that there is definitely something to be said for natural beauty. And I think this is what you were saying, Leila, that kind of as a society, we put too much value on our appearance. We want to make ourselves better and improve and look like celebrities, when actually, natural beauty, when you get to know somebody, sometimes you don't notice the features that they think are terrible.
Yeah. I think it's also the pursuit of youth. Everybody wants to keep looking young.
Yeah.
And that's something that, again, like beauty, is something that we've put more emphasis on.
Can I just say, though, this is from somebody who did recently Google how to remove under eye wrinkles.
I did.
It's okay, I've done it too.
And I was thinking, I either need to up the lighting when I'm filming, or I need a bit of Botox, or just a bit of sellotape maybe to hold it back. Or I could do an Essex facelift.
You're beautiful.
No, she's fine. She's beautiful as she is. But in some countries, plastic surgery really is a cultural norm. Like in South America, to get a boob job, to get breast implants, is extremely common.
Wow.
And your bum lifted. You can get a bigger bum, higher bum.
Yeah.
Rounder bum.
When you get a bum lift or a boob job, do you have to maintain that? Sorry, excuse my ignorance on this topic, but say tomorrow I want to get my boobs done, or I want to get a bum lift, whatever it is.
But you do. You are meant to get. I don't know about your bum, but you do for your boobs. You're meant to get them done every 10 years.
Every 10 years replaced. Yeah.
I've got friends and my cousin that have had a boob job.
Yeah, I've got friends who've had boob jobs, and they have to get them replaced every 10 years. Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking specifically about boob jobs, I think when it comes to like reconstructive surgery, it's amazing, the plastic surgery that's out there. Whether it's your breasts after cancer or anything else, the stuff that's out there, the techniques that are out there are amazing and help people live normal lives again. But
I mean, I think also with something like breasts, it was very interesting. In the UK for a while, for people who were completely flat-chested, who didn't have any boobs at all, they actually used to let some people, if they were very depressed about this, the government would pay for this on the National Health Service.
On what basis?
They don't.
We've got no money in the National Health Service.
Because people were depressed, and they said that it made them feel not like a woman, and that they wanted to have breasts, and they felt so depressed about their physical appearance that it was affecting their life. In some cases, the government would pay for that when it would be on the NHS. This does not happen anymore. We've had to cut back.
Yeah, really. Well, they'll pin it to a psychological issue.
Yeah.
But that is it would
kind of mind-boggling.
It is a bit, but then we have reasonable boobs.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so I'm not talking about my breasts here. I don't fall in that category.
What about in Australia then? Because you're from Australia. So is plastic surgery common in Australia?
I've been abroad now for about 7-8 years, so I do tend to forget what the cultural norms are back there. But when I was back in Australia, I didn't see anything too drastic. Again, I have friends, but within my circle of friends or family, don't, or maybe people don't speak about it. Maybe it's something they just hide. Maybe someone has had a Botox, but I don't know anyone who's had Botox done or a boob job, or maybe it's a circle that a lot of my family and friends are, I like to think, confident and maybe more acceptance of who they are as a person rather than changing those external features. But to say that all Australians are like that, that would be wrong.
Had a bit of,
yeah, she definitely has.
she's had,
yeah.
like, you can tell. I mean, she's always been stunning, Nicole Kidman. But I think that's, again, pressure.
When you're looking at the media today, a lot of media personalities, of course, they've had a lot done. And I think maybe it's not the nicest thing to say, but, you know, when you're watching a movie or when you're reading, flicking through the newspaper or just some magazine, it's always nice to see a beautiful woman or a man. And how bad that sounds, I think that is the reality. And
I think as human beings, we are quite naturally looks orientated. But if you think about it, it sounds strange, but in the animal kingdom, it's the same. You know,
true.
The birds have to have beautiful feathers and look beautiful to attract the opposite sex. And I think it's reflected in society. However, I think, you know, we are intelligent beings, and so we need to put a limit on these things. And there's a point where, as Leila was saying before, it goes too far and gets addictive. And you know, you have the cases like the Barbie and the Ken, but there's the other case about the lady who wanted to have huge boobs, and now she's got double Z boobs or something, or double S or whatever. And she then had tanning injections to the point where she actually changed her whole skin tone, and she now looks like a black woman, not a white woman.
No one's ever happy with what they've got, because
Yeah.
then you'll have people with darker skin that want to be lighter, and you know, it's a case of, if you're constantly looking outward, you're always going to see something else that you'd rather look like.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You've listened to the natural conversation between Leila, Sabrah and myself. If you struggle to follow the conversation, make sure to turn on subtitles and listen to the conversation again. Now let's go through 4 sentences which came up throughout our natural conversation and analyze the grammar and vocabulary used in these sentences. In the natural conversation, Leila said, well, lots of people when they get plastic surgery start looking very pinned. So their face is being pulled back, they get a facelift and start looking like that. In this sentence, we can see that Leila said they start looking very pinned. Here, pin is a verb. To pin something means to attach or fasten something using a pin. In this context, the verb pin is being used because a part of their body is being held quite firmly. So it's being held firmly in position. Here in this sentence, we can also see that the passive voice is being used. Here we are using the passive voice because we are emphasizing the action. In this case, the action of the face being pulled back. Also, we can see that the continuous tense is being used because we are emphasizing the fact that that action is happening now. It's happening at that exact moment. We can also see from the natural conversation, the sentence, if it's gonna make them happy, if it's gonna improve their quality of life, in my opinion, why not? Friends, if you improve the quality of someone's life, it means that you make their life better. Somehow their life is being made better. In this sentence, you can also see the contraction gonna. Friends, gonna is slang. Native English speakers use it all the time. You can see that Leila, Sabrah and myself used it quite often instead of going to. If you want to speak more naturally in English, sound more like a native English speaker, use gonna when speaking in English. In the natural conversation, we also had the sentence, we had to cut back. Friends, if you cut back on something, it means that you reduce the amount of something. We usually use cut back with spending. For example, we had to cut back on our expenses, so here we had to reduce our expenses. In this sentence, we can also see that the present perfect tense is being used. Here, the present perfect simple tense is being used because something that was done in the past has a result, it has an impact, some effect on the present. To finish up, the last sentence which came up was, When you're looking at the media today, a lot of media personalities, of course, they've had a lot done. Friends, if you've had a lot done in this context is being used because they're talking that they've had a lot of plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery, they've had a lot of work done on themselves. Another example of this being used related to plastic surgery could be, my neighbour has really had a lot done. He doesn't look 50 anymore. Here, in this context, the phrase he's had a lot done is being used to explain that he has had a lot of plastic surgery done. Friends, this lesson was made possible thanks to Using English TP members. If you'd like to continue learning about plastic surgery, head over to usingenglishTP.com and join our private community and classroom and start speaking in English today. Friends, if you found this video lesson useful, there are many other great lessons here and here to help you speak in English on different and interesting topics. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also subscribe to Love English, Learn English with Leila and Sabrah for many more great lessons. Remember to like this video lesson and to let me know in the comments below if plastic surgery is common in your country. Thanks for being here and see you next time. Bye for now.